Hello and welcome to a new video. Today we're gonna take a look at the newly released Brutal Swing variant of the Conkeldurr in the Ultra League. And honestly, I did not really expect too much of this Pokemon, but it was actually ranked 91 I think on PvPok, so I was like, maybe there's a chance that this Pokemon actually has some potential, and we're gonna find out today. And we're not running the normal moveset, we're running Stone Edge on this Pokemon, and there is a good reason for it. Take a look at this. Take a look at how this Pelipper got absolutely destroyed from our Conkeldurr. This is already a great start to the video and to this Pokemon. Honestly, I could have went crazy positive, I think, with this team. I still went positive with this team, by the way. But I could have went crazy positive as well if I won 1 or 2 more games, which I could have won, but misplayed a little bit. So there are going to be a lot of very close games here. But also, in general, I went positive with this team. This team was actually amazing. I loved playing this one. It was so much fun to play, especially with Conkeldurr. And there are going to be some very funny matchups coming up. Moving on to game number 2 here, we're going to encounter the Swampert in Elite. Elite that I don't really enjoy too much with this team, but we're going to get out the Charizard. Do they know? Let's see. Do they know about the Stone Edge? I don't think they know. I mean, let's take a look at this. Oh, sadly they know. So yeah, some people are going to be aware, and we can do a little bit more of a serious talk here about Conkeldurr, because the issue with having Stone Edge is that a lot of times if you have Elite like the Pidgeot here, you're going to get out a different Pokemon than a Flying type Pokemon here, which is usually the Virizion. Virizion is going to be able to resist all your charge moves, and this can be a little bit of an issue. So it's always kind of a trade-off. Do you want to be funny and go for the Stone Edge and like nuke those Flying type Pokemon away, or do you want to be better off against Virizion? This is kind of the question here, but again, if I baited actually against the Charizard, I would have been able to knock them out as well, most likely, so that would have been something good for the future. But here we're gonna now go up against the opponent's Charizard, and as you're going to see, I can still go for the Cross Chop, but the opponent should be able to go for the Hydro Cannon now. And I feel like that I would have been able to win also 1 or 2 more games if my Machamp wasn't Shadow. I feel like the Shadow bonus didn't really help me too often, at least I thought that it didn't really help me too often, but I feel like I would have liked a little bit more bulk on this Pokemon. Next team coming up, let's take a look what they're going to run. They're going to run a Dragonite in the lead. This is going to be, of course, a very awkward matchup for us, because our entire team doesn't really appreciate the Shadow Dragonite, but it's fairly likely that they're going to run a Steel type in the back. A Dragonite plus Steel is basically something that you see all the time. Could be also something like a normal type like Greed, and all of those Pokemon are fairly common to be seen together with the Dragonite. So I decided to swap out into my Conkeldurr as the opponent goes still for a charge move, as they're double debuffed. I'm not really too scared about this Dragon Claw coming in, but as you're going to see, here is the issue with the Conkeldurr moveset. And maybe I should have actually not went for the Stone Edge here, but I thought I would only get to 1 charge move anyway, so that would have been, I guess, maybe 2 Brutal Swings would have been better here than 1 Stone Edge. But you're going to get completely walled by a Virizion, which if you run Dynamic Punch, of course, is not the case. But we can still knock them out here before they can go for more charge moves with our Pidgeot as they decide to go into their Greedent. That's exactly what I expected. Honestly, it's a little bit weird for me to see the Virizion though on this team, because like, honestly, it doesn't make more sense in my opinion to have something like Cobalion or something, because otherwise you're going to have a double Ice weakness, you're going to have a double Fairy type weakness, so it's maybe not the most balanced team, but of course against my team doesn't matter. But Shadow Machamp, look at this. Honestly, like, surviving with 1 HP here, and it's going to be even better because the opponent is still going to get the Machop off. But take a look at my HP stat here as well for my Pidgeot, 2 times 1 HP and a Dream. Moving on to the next game, we're going to encounter the Golisopod in the lead. And this was like one of the matchups where I was a little bit sad about how I played it, and I should have played a little bit differently. Honestly, against the Swampert here, I think it's just the best move to go for is just to go for the Feather Dance instead of the Brave Bird, which I'm doing here. Because what can happen if you go for the Feather Dance? Either the opponent shields and you're going to get a huge advantage by the opponent having a double debuffed attack, or the opponent is going to let this move go through, get some damage, but still has a double debuffed attack, and you can swap out in one of your Pokemon in the back. And this is exactly what I should have done here. I'm going to be able to get the shield, but I was not sure if I can get to my move in time before the opponent can swap out again, and I cannot. And if I just traded out here, I would have been able to go for a Stone Edge against the Golisopod, one-shotting that one. and I would have been able to realign and would have been in such a better position than what I am right now. Especially as the opponent can actually still go for another charge move here with their aerial ace coming through, which is going to be a little bit awkward. And basically I threw the game away with the lead matchup, how I played it there, also how I just played it with my Conkeldurr itself. So this was definitely way better, like, doable here for me if I just played it a little bit differently. I would have been so much on top there, but now I'm going to force myself into the matchup against the Swampert, and sadly, because we are Shadow again, if we were not Shadow, we would have been able to survive this Earthquake here, but we sadly get one-shot by the opponent, and so the opponent going to be able to get the CMP tie here. But this was clearly a winnable game if I played it better, but also congrats to my opponent making that catch. Great play there. Moving on to the next game, we're going to encounter Tentacruel in the lead. That's not going to be too ideal for us, as both of our Pokemon in the back are not going to have the best time against this Pokemon, as they're going to be able to still go for a Brave Bird here. This is going to go ahead and do some decent damage, but it's going to be a CMP tie, and this is just pain here, as you're going to see. They're going to go for the Acid Spray, so I didn't even have to shield this one. But of course, you never know. And we're gonna get out the opponent's Virizion, which is also not really ideal for us. So it's going to be a little bit of a tough matchup, right? Also, which I didn't even say, I actually got through Go Battle League a crazy cool shiny, which I'm going to show off later as well, which is something that I didn't have before, which was really, really cool to see. So definitely stay tuned for that one later on. But yeah, I got a crazy shiny from Go Battle League rewards, which I did not expect at all. But yeah, we're gonna now be able to go ahead and go back into our pitch shot. We had some lag there. Still, like, I see also a lot of people reporting this. There are so many crazy frame drops all of a sudden. Like, it was actually fine for me for Go Battle League for like longer time, and then the frame drops just came back completely. Here I'm predicting that they're gonna go for the Acid Spray, and I was correct, which is amazing for me, as I can now go for the full farm down, have a ton of energy, still have a shield, and the opponent has a Greedent in the back, allowing us to hopefully get to 3 cross chops here, because it would be super important for me. The opponent needs to basically farm up to 2 charge moves here, but as you're going to see, the opponent gonna go here for their first charge move, but I'm now going to have another cross chop stored, and I'm gonna go straight for it. There's no reason for me to go for anything else, and this should be a CMP tie, winning us the game here as well, as we're now going to be able to go into our Pidgeot. The opponent is out of energy, and the opponent even forfeits here. Moving on to the next game, let's take a look at what the opponent is going to run here. We're going to have the Heliolisk in the lead. This is not ideal for us at all, but we might be able to still do something here. So you're going to get out the opponent's Superior. This is going to be okay for us. We can take an Aerial Ace from the opponent. Actually, I feel like that Frenzy Plant would have been a better play for the opponent here, because it would have put us into farm down range. But like this, we can go ahead and go for a Brutal Swing and gonna get the shield. And I decided to use a shield here as well, because if we're gonna get the shields down for the opponent, I think this would have been a great play for us. So I'm just gonna go for another Brutal Swing and force the opponent to use another shield here, as they are going to go for their own charge move next, which is going to knock me out, which is fine. The Aerial Ace is coming through, and I can swap back into my Pidgeot, gonna go for the full entire farm down against the opponent, allowing me to just get so much energy as the opponent goes for a Frenzy Plant against us. We can just get the full farm down here. We're gonna actually go ahead and go for a Brave Bird against the opponent's Heliolisk as well. Yes, I have a Fighting type in the back, but I kind of want to put them into counter down range, which I'm going to be able to do now, as the opponent is going to have their Virizion in the back, which I'm going to be able to just shield up the Leaf Blade, and I can just go for the cross chop spam here. And this is the great thing about the Machamp, especially as a closer. I would definitely use the Machamp as a closer and not the other one, like the Conkeldurr. Conkeldurr has a better say-stop thanks to Stone Edge, because then you're going to be able to just completely knock them out with fast charge moves here. Moving on. Next game, going to be a pretty awkward one for us. It's going to be the Registeel in the lead, and we're going to get the Cresselia out of here. And this is, I don't think this is the matchup yet, but we're gonna still be able to get a shield here, which I'm totally happy about, as we're gonna even get some more damage onto us. But again, this is going to be a match where I definitely misplay quite a lot, which you're going to see as well, which really bothers me, because yeah, it's definitely something that I could improve on, and something that I shouldn't have done like I did it. But you're gonna see it here right now. The opponent gonna go for a charge move, and honestly, I'm not really too familiar with the Ultra League. I don't really like the league too much, but I can go for a Brave Bird here, and I thought I would knock out the opponent, and it barely doesn't, and this is really bad, because if I just went ahead and didn't throw a charge move there, let the opponent throw, I would have still kept my one Pokemon there, and now the opponent can come back into their Registeel, which is going to be able to maybe even go for Zapkin and get the debuff against me, which is just really awkward for the end matchup. So I completely misplayed this here. I could have still had my Pidgeot in the back, but luckily they didn't get the debuff, but sadly they're going to still have the Swampert in the back. And I'm fairly certain I would have still been able to win this game here if I still had my Pidgeot. But like this, it's going to be a tough one because I'm kind of forced to go for a charge move now afterwards because the opponent is already 2 Hydro Cannons. And this is not going to get the knockout, but basically if I still had my Pidgeot in the back, I could have farmed them down, could have went for a Brave Bird against the Registeel and would have most likely knocked them out from this range. So sadly, this is not going to be it for me, and we're gonna move on to the next game. Next game going to be again against another Swampert, which is not really ideal for me, but yeah, like honestly, it's a little bit awkward here. We can still try to go for some Brave Birds against the opponent, but it's going to be a little bit of a tough one. We're going to be able to hit the first one. Let's see if they're going to shield this move up. They do not, and I can swap into my Conkeldurr, trying to maybe even... Oh, I'm actually going to let this move go through here as well. Can take one charge move, and we can farm them all the way down as the opponent does not want to lose switch advantage basically by locking themselves into a Pokemon, which does make sense looking at the Venusaur in the back here. We're still going to be able to go for 2 Brutal Swings, which is going to be amazing. This looks like a CMP tie. I completely forgot that this game even existed, by the way. I have literally no idea what's happening. I literally just did it like 5 minutes ago, so that's great. We're going to see in the back the Registeel. I should have waited out a little bit longer with my Pidgeot, but I was able to get a ton of energy, luckily, with my Pidgeot already, which might come in clutch later on. Here they're gonna get the attack drop, and this was of course a little bit awkward for us, as this would have not happened yet at least if I waited a little bit the switch clock after my Pokemon died, but I can still go ahead and go for another cross chop here as the opponent decides to use a shield, trying to get my final shield by using the Zap Cannon, which does make a lot of sense, but I kinda still want to keep my Machamp around. I could have also no shield, which most likely would have been the better play to go for, but now I'm still gonna hit the cross chop against the opponent's Venusaur, and we're gonna put them into the range for our Pidgeot, which is amazing. So yeah, this is going to be a good game here, and this was a fairly easy one. Next one coming up, we're going to encounter Manibus in the lead, and I decide to swap out immediately into my Conkeldurr, hoping that the opponent stays in, thinking they are flying type against a fighting type. This should be a good one for them, but sadly they're going to have a Tentacruel in the back, so this is going to be a little bit awkward. I can still go ahead and go for a charge move here, which is going to be the Brutal Swing, doing some decent amount of damage here as I can go for the Stone Edge afterwards. Stone Edge Conkeldurr is going to do some decent damage against the opponent, and as you're going to see, I can swap out into my Pidgeot. Pidgeot will be able to take an Acid Spray of course, but now they're going to go for a Scald afterwards. I thought they didn't have that much energy yet, but I guess I am wrong. I'm still going to let this move go through because I'm kind of relying at this point off my Machamp there. I'm going to keep my Brave Bird for later on. Maybe I can just snipe something with it, but I decide to use a shield here against the opponent. They're going to have the Aerial Ace stored, which is kind of awkward, but I can just go ahead and go for the cross chop here, basically predicting that I have Rock Slide. By the way, just for this video, I used the Elite Charge TM to get the payback onto my Machamp instead of the Rock Slide. I did not use payback a single time. So if you enjoy this kind of dedication for literally nothing at all, feel free to leave a like. We're going to be able to now encounter at least a Cobalion, where the opponent decides to go ahead and go for the shield, and I have to basically go straight for the swap here. I cannot go for an extra fast move with my champ because then the opponent would be able to CMP tie against my Pidgeot, and my Pidgeot definitely going to lose this one. So now I'm going to be forced to go into my Machamp again, and they still have the Aerial Ace, so a little bit of an unfortunate matchup for me. Maybe I could have played the lead a little bit differently. Maybe I could just go straight for a Brave Bird and then swap out. I'm not sure about it. Next and final game, we're going to encounter the Giratina afterwards. We're going to take a look at the shiny that I got from Go Bad League as well, which is going to be amazing. But now we're going to have the Giratina against us. They're sadly running the Dragon Breath, which of course is going to be a little bit more awkward than the Shadow Claw for our Pidgeot, but we will be able to swap out now into our Conkeldurr. Honestly, I feel like this was my most liked matchup here in general, because we're now going to have our Conkeldurr against the opponent's Cresselia. And I was looking at it, and after I saw Future Sight here, I was committed. I was committed completely into this matchup. And it's just going to be funny here. We're going to be able to completely flip the matchup against the Cresselia in the 2-0 shield scenario if they run Future Sight, which I looked up at PvPoke at the same time. But they're sadly still going to get to the Grass Knot here. But we were able to now realign, which I just find kind of hilarious here, because you have like this bulky, psychic type against a fighting type and they lose against it. But now we can go for a charge move against the opponent's Giratina, as well as the opponent makes a great play swapping into the Greedent. But of course they will not expect that I'm going to run my Machamp in the back, which is going to have a great matchup here. We can take a Body Slam, we can even take 2 Body Slams, which is the most important thing here, because now the opponent most likely decides to let this move go through, because they kind of want to win this game with their Giratina. But it's too little too late, as he can just go ahead and basically bait a potential rock slide, which the opponent calls it, because I don't run a rock slide. So the cross trap is coming through. They do kind of call it, but it doesn't matter because it's actually a CMP tie, which is amazing for me. They're going for the no charge there, basically. But I'm still going to be able to reach the Feather Dance, and as long as I don't have Ancient Power, this is going to be a good game here, and they do not have Ancient Power, so it's going to be it for the final game. Now we can take a look at the shiny that I got for a reward as for this game here, and it's going to be a shiny Phantom. Do you have one already? I didn't play Pokemon Go outside of PvP for like a month now, so I don't have this one yet, so I kind of appreciate it. But yeah, this is going to be it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, feel free to leave a like, check out the videos on the screen, and I'll see you then. Bye bye.